Hey y'all, welcome to the Q Spot Podcast with host Quavila Jones. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and take notes as we dive into each discussion. Stay tuned with special guest Ahmad Perry Sr. discussing financial freedom through investment. Hey y'all, welcome to another edition of the Q Spot Podcast with your host Quavila Jones and my very special guest, Mr. Ahmad Perry Sr. I don't have your exact title. I know that you do, I don't want to say financial advising, but that's one thing you do among, I guess, many others. So first, before we get started, Mr. Ahmad, please tell us, what is your exact title?
So I am a business developer by trade, and I founded a consulting firm called APE Business Solutions. I also founded a nonprofit called Generations to Come Foundation, where we teach financial literacy, education, and healthcare. So
Wow.
um, a bit of a diverse background, but it all revolves around relationships and helping people.
All right. Before we get started into our conversation, I would like to give my listeners and viewers a little more background about you so they can understand why and how you started your businesses, your business. As a successful 6.5 year tenure as a decorated military war veteran, thank you for your service. Ahmad R. Perry Sr. became a strategic businessman and leader with a strong work ethic to provide solutions at the highest level. He applied his military training to formalize how he could impact the world. His military service included 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, 2.5 years in the United States Army. Having business success but failing health wise, he was inspired to take back the control of his life, which resulted in the loss of 60 pounds. After Ahmad lost the 60 pounds, the experience of transforming his body redirected his vision of his life. With his renewed mindset, he walked into a $1 million private equity fund in commercial real estate. Okay, we definitely need to talk about that. Excuse me. Um, while working at PDD as a director of recruiting, Ahmad wanted financial success. During this time, financial prosperity for philanthropy became his goal. Perry's appetite and desire for philanthropy increased tremendously. He began working with the community to spread awareness by utilizing his nonprofit organization called Generation to Come Foundation Incorporated. Generation to Come Foundation Incorporated is a 501c3 tax exempt organization and was founded by Ahmad in 2015 upon three core pillars: education, health, and finance. Ahmad's greatest desire is to leave the generation to come as his legacy, leaving the world better than he found it. Oh my goodness, that is so amazing. I can't wait to get into the different layers of this. Okay, so first and foremost, again, thank you for your service in the military. Um, First of all, what led you to the military? Let's start there.
Um, my family had a background of military service members. My uncle was a retired lieutenant colonel in the Army, cousins in the Air Force. So it was always in the back of my mind, like, all right, if I don't go to college, I'll join the military. So I didn't get the basketball scholarship to the University of Alabama. And the next thing on the list was joining the military. So I decided to join the Marine Corps because, we had people in the Army in the family, people in the Air Force, and I kind of wanted to chart my own path. So I joined the Marine Corps. Everybody thought I was crazy. They was trying to get me to, change my decision, but it helped in a variety of ways.
Okay. And so, as mentioned, you felt that what you learned in the military helped you become the man that you are now. And I can imagine that. No, I can't imagine the discipline that you had to endure while in the military. I've heard many stories of other people, but tell us about how that discipline really carried over into other aspects of your life.
Very quickly, I learned that once you're pushed beyond your normal limit of doing something, your brain never goes back to the standard that it was before you reach that level. So for me, it started with physical fitness. I was an athlete, but I wasn't trained in running 3 miles. In the Marine Corps, you had to run 3 miles for time. So I
Okay.
remember, like, when they first started training us, I was struggling to get past a mile. And then I remember one day the drill instructor running up beside me, asking me why was I breathing so hard. I wasn't going to die. And that just, a bulb went off in my head, and I just made sure that I was outpacing everybody. So I was running a 3-mile pace at 18 minutes flat. And I realized that that wasn't average. So I just kind of measured that with everything else that I did, and just tried to outpace everybody else from that moment.
Okay. And so upon leaving the military, you started another venture and another, well, I said another in this company. And so let's talk about where it says you walked into a $1 million um, private equity fund in commercial real estate. Now, how did you go from military to real estate?
So the journey was choppy. I joined the Marine Corps, did 4 years in the Marine Corps. Then I did a year as an investment advisor, working at a financial planning firm around a lot of different wealth managers and things of that nature. Then I went back into the Army, did 2.5 years in the Army, did a tour in Iraq, got out and got into business development. Now, I got out of the Army in 2009. I didn't walk into that $100 million private equity deal until 2017. So it
Okay.
was kind of like it was like a 8-year period, but it was the things that were happening on the way up to that deal that kind of developed, that created that opportunity for me to walk into it. Like I said, my background was business development. I was very comfortable with talking to high-level individuals, C-level executives, because my background was in sales, and I understood. I had a nice little knack for finances because of my experience as a investment advisor. So that conversation with that real estate developer was kind of natural, and he just invited me into the deal to help raise money for the project.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And so let's talk about, you mentioned how, you found yourself at a point you needed to lose weight or you wanted to lose weight. And so, and also going through that process, it clicked something in your mind to apply that to other areas of your life. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I was, how you hear, no sleep, forget about sleep, just work, 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 work. And that's what I was doing. I was working 21-hour days. My personal life was just all the way in shambles. And one day I bent over to tie my shoe and I was gasping for air. That was also in 2017. That was July 3rd, actually, when I decided I needed to lose weight. So I stopped eating sugar. I stopped eating carbs. I ran 3 to 4 miles a day. And what I did mentally, I called a whole bunch of my military buddies, and we had these iWatches, and we would track each other. We had to burn a minimum of 700 calories a day. And again, I didn't want to be last, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm burning more calories than everybody else. And we did that for about 30 to 40 days straight. And by the time a 60-day period went by, I lost 60 pounds.
Oh, wow. Okay, you're gonna
Yeah.
definitely need to share. Um, not a runner, but oh well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was walking and running. But I tell you, I was completely out of shape. I was not in military shape. And so I would walk, and then I would try to jog a little bit, and walk and then jog a little bit. And one day, I got back up to sprinting and got back to my military pace at 1 mile. So that was all I needed to do to, continue to motivate myself to continue on the journey.
And so tell us about that moment, or if you, as much as you can remember, how after you lost the weight, you said it helped to redirect your vision for your life. And so tell us what was going on in your life at that moment that you felt needed redirecting.
I was chasing the wrong thing. I ended up going through divorce. I was chasing the money. It wasn't nurturing my personal relationships. So that was one thing. My health was spiraling out of control. That was another thing. So I was like, what is the use of having this big house and this fancy car and money when if I'm not healthy, I'm gonna spend all the money on trying to be healthy. So I just restructured everything after that happened, and just tried to stay grounded and centered on peace and health. I make sure everything revolves around my environment being peaceful, and I try to stay as healthy as possible and as active as possible.
And so now here you are, philanthropist. You run the nonprofit organization, and you're helping other people gain financial freedom. No, before we get into that, let's talk about where the financial freedom aspect, where that piece fits, and how you got there, and what inspired you to say, okay, I'm now redirecting my life. I'm doing well. Like, give us some background, some insight.
It's funny. My friend called me one day, and I had bought this car, and he was like, you need to write a book. And if you don't write a book, you're doing the world a disservice. And it kind of like hit me hard when he said that. I was like, why do I need to write a book about my life? I'm not, that special. But he was like, no, you need to write a book. You have an amazing story. And it was one of my military buddies who was, involved with the whole weight loss process. And so I started writing a book called The Only Way Out: How to Escape Poverty and Live the Life of Your Dreams, because I grew up extremely poor.
Okay.
And what I realized was I was doing everything in my life that I wanted to do, like as far as my hobbies, traveling, playing golf, doing business. The only thing that would be different if I would just do more of it. So I was like, oh, that's what we all want to do. We need to realize that we are already, born rich. We just want to do more of what we want to do, but we chase the wrong things. So in the process of me restructuring my life, I just kept doing more of the things that I wanted to do, and it just continued to expand and expand and expand. Relationships kept happening, business deals kept happening. And when COVID hit, I was like, I need to show people how to, leverage the financial markets to supplement their income from job loss or something like that. And it just took off.
You mentioned supplementing income in stock markets. I can remember seeing advertisements or just promotional messaging on, say, social media, and talking about these different entities like Acorn, and there's Snapchat, not Snapchat, Cash App has a way that you can invest $1 here, a couple of dollars, whatever your choice, into these various stock markets. Now, for those like me who have no clue how to navigate the stock markets, it's foreign language. And so I'm sure that you have encountered many people like me.
Most of the people in my group had no knowledge or very little knowledge when they first started. And that's the fun part, right? When I break it down like completely simple, and I tell them the market is only going to move three ways: up, down, and to the side, right? And I just break it down that way. When they look at a chart, I tell them the green means somebody's buying, red is somebody's selling. Once they understand that, then they can start making decisions and getting involved. I try to demystify the market,
Okay.
and talk to them in layman's terms that they can understand it. And once they make their first profitable trade, they're, it's off to the races from there. But the main goal is to outpace your savings account, your money market account, and inflation. We keep it simple.
Okay, so now you're going to have to break those down just really, really hard. But we have time, so please, I don't want to say start from the beginning, but give people some insight into what they can expect if they go through one of your programs.
So if you go through my program first, I'll make sure that you understand what the market is and what's it for, right? And then I help you understand that the money that's sitting in your savings account right now is making you 0.00015% a year. You're not even getting 1% a year on the money in your savings account.
What?
So one trade could outpace the money that's in your savings account. One trade.
Now let's talk about though. Okay, I'm very skeptical and scared, and okay, I need to make us. I don't know if there's any safe investment, like low risk. I put it like that, low risk. So let's talk about how do you help someone decide what is the right investment for them?
You just invest in the stuff that you're using every day.
Oh, okay.
All of us are on Facebook for the most part. Facebook is a publicly traded company. We have cell phones. Verizon and AT&T Apple are a publicly traded company. So buy the stuff that you're already spending your money on. The markets are designed to go up, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you just invest your money over time, the markets will go up. But when you're trading, that's a different strategy, right? An extra strategy that you can add to your toolbox. And like I said, one trade could make you 10% to 50% on the money that's sitting in your savings account. And once they see that realization, it really hits home for them. So I tell them, if you're not trading, if you're not investing, you're already losing 3% of your money every year just off of inflation.
Okay. Now let's go into, okay, you mentioned investing and trading. Do you feel that everyone is capable of learning how to trade, even on a low level?
Absolutely. I have people in my group. One of my traders, I love this person to death. She was in Section 8. No information about trading, no information about making passive income. She made $8,000 in one day on a trade.
What now? Wow.
Yep,
That's,
$8,000.
what was her investment though? See, let's talk about.
She started with $1,000, right? In her
Okay.
first couple of trades, she lost maybe $600. She was doing a lot of different things. That's what most people do. They come in and they're so excited they want to do a lot of different things. So she lost about $600 and she called me crying like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Money doesn't come to me that easy. Well, I said, if you stop now, you're going to always feel that way. You need to
Okay.
take your time, listen, and keep going. And so she kept going. Then she started finding different avenues to make money. And she would put that money in her brokerage account. And one day she had about $3,000 in a trade and she made $8,000.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you advise someone, one, don't do it alone? Like, I would never do it alone. I would always, I won't say always, but I would definitely, for the first good portion of time, have someone that can walk me through. So, what advice would you give someone about?
Yeah, we do it together. Trading is a psychological taxing uh, endeavor, right? So I tell people that the group is there for psychological support more than it is for technical support. It's easy to click a button to get into a trade. What happens when you get into that trade, I won't know until you get into it. Everything about you is going to come out. If you're impatient, it's going to come out. If you're greedy, it's going to come out in your trade. So once people understand how simple and easy it is to get into a trade, the psychological aspect of it becomes a challenge more than anything.
Okay. Okay. So, what about, again, someone doesn't have $1,000? They may only have a couple of $100 or just $100. Can you help them?
Yes, it is free to open up a brokerage account so that you can
Okay.
access stocks on the stock market. And there's a ton of stocks out there that are under $100.
Oh,
There are Uber is under $100. Lyft is under $100. These are things that we use if we live in a big city. Like I live in Atlanta, so I use Uber every day. Why not invest in the company? I'm using it. I'm spending my money with them. AT&T is a company that pays dividends. That stock is about $27 right now.
I definitely need them because that's who my phone carrier is.
Yeah,
Money.
exactly.
Wow. Okay. Now let's ask this. I know that you would give more detailed information if someone was actually sitting in a class going to the program, but what about, just say for us ladies, cosmetics and things of that nature? Do we need to look at what's trending or what seems like it's doing well? Like how cosmetics and other products, how do we determine, okay, it looks good now, but is it going to be doing well tomorrow?
Right. That's a good question. I typically tell people to look at the strongest companies out there. Like we know Apple is a very strong company. We
Hmm.
know AT&T is a strong company. Some cosmetic companies are privately owned. You have to find the ones that are publicly traded. But
Okay.
I like to tell people this when they ask me stuff about cosmetics. What about Kimberly Clark? We buy toilet tissue.
Mm-hmm.
That's a publicly traded company.
And Johnson and
Johnson and Johnson, absolutely.
the parent companies of all of these brands. Um, no, I want to ask this, and I know we're in a place where we need to also be conscious about where we spend our dollars.
Hmm.
Some people are conscious when it comes to not. I'm trying to handle this delicately. When it comes to, I'm just going to say it. Whether it's a black owned or whether it's minority owned operated, whether it's um, whether they're following ethical practices.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, do you help people really navigate those waters as well? People who want to be very conscious about where they put their dollars.
Yeah, it all boils down to the research. And again, when I talk about money and trading, we really have to understand capitalism, right? And we live in a capitalistic society.
Mhm.
So that's a non-emotional decision that we're making. At the end of the day, we need capital.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
We need our money to grow. So first I'm looking at, is this vehicle going to help my money grow?
okay.
Then I scale back. All right, what are they doing that's socially responsible, right? What are they doing to give towards events or things in the community that help our community directly? So that's like second or third on my list when I'm looking at a company to invest in. The first one is, will my money grow if I put it
Okay.
here? Hmm.
And then move your money around. If
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I got you. And so, as you're doing all this trading and investing, and now you have this idea, okay, I want to give back. I want to bring others into the fold. And I love the idea of philanthropy. I really wish more people, not to say there are not a lot of people doing it, I wish more people would do it. One, I wish the conversation was had more in minority families. When I
Hmm.
was growing up in rural Arkansas, we didn't talk about community service. We didn't talk about philanthropy. We didn't talk about giving back, period. I saw some things happening, but there was no bigger discussion about it. It was like adults over here, kids over here. And
Right.
I didn't learn about philanthropy or community service until I know I was 20 something. I was in my
Wow.
20s. So it's like these conversations need to be had earlier.
Yeah.
When
I mean, some
when
of
I,
the biggest organizations in our community are, philanthropic organizations like the Boys and Girls Club. That corporation is over $1 billion in revenue.
wow.
YMCA over $1 billion in revenue. United Way over $1 billion in revenue. But they're all philanthropic in nature. And
Hmm.
so there are things that we can do to position ourselves to not only get some federal funding, right, through grants for these social and community initiatives, but we can partner with those organizations as well to, get some of those fundings from those grants. And they are looking for partners as well. So there's so much work out there that needs to be done. If we just position ourselves and become more aware of it, we could partake in some of those funds as well.
Wow. And so here we are. You started your nonprofit organization and you're taking all of these things that you've learned and you're pouring into that, and now you're pouring it into your community. So tell us about, one, how did you come up with the name? How, did all of this come together? What were your initial thoughts and feelings about it? What was some of the feedback from members in your community?
It's ironic because at first people are looking like, what are you doing? Nobody's going to listen. And then all of a sudden you start picking up this momentum and everybody starts paying attention. So I started the organization Generations to Come Foundation in 2015. And I really started it because I wanted to make sure I set something up for my kids, which is the generation to come after me, right? So I was like, all right, that kind of fits. It's the generation to come. Like we should be living our lives to set up the next generation to come after us. That's what a lot of our community activists has done. Martin Luther King did it. His whole life was was sacrificed so that we can have access to some of the things that we have access to today. And there's a lot of others out there that did some of the work with him. But I feel like if we would all focus on the generation to come after us, we will find that one, we don't need as much as we think we need personally. And
Okay.
then the focus is on helping someone else get the resources for their family as well. And so you create this big snowball effect in the community where the fulfillment comes from helping people versus hoarding something for yourself.
Oh, wow. Was there any pushback? You with this type of nonprofit, again, you said people were like, no one's going to buy into that idea, that concept. But was there pushback when you started applying for grants or finding funding to provide the services that you provide?
It
Tell us
was.
about that.
In the beginning, it was discouraging because you're a new organization and a lot of the federal agencies want to make sure that you're legit. So that's the
Mhm.
first piece. And so when you hit that ceiling, you learn, all right, I need to partner with some of the larger organizations. So we did that. I've done some trainings with United Way and met a few people at United Way that have been very instrumental in helping us, position ourselves to be a community leader as far as the organization is concerned. And then after that, you just start showing the results that you're getting in the community. And that just takes on a life of its own. We have over 100 people in our group right
That's
now.
awesome.
And it's almost like, it's almost like we had a family reunion every day. Everybody is logging on, we live trade, or we get to our meetings on Wednesdays and Sunday nights on a Zoom call, and everybody's talking about their trade, or if they took a loss, what made them take that loss, and what they were thinking about. So um, it becomes a different type of fulfillment when you're looking and seeing other people succeed, and that inspires somebody else to go and tell somebody else, and then they bring two or three other people. And that's basically how it's growing right now. We're not running any ads, it's all word of mouth.
That's awesome. Now, I do want to get into, because I'm sure someone by now has a question. Well, how do I get my money? We're going to get into that, but I want to get into, okay, you're sharing this message with, anyone who will come. Tell us how shifting your mindset leads to that financial freedom aspect, and how were you able to help those who were once stuck in a I don't see that happening, that's not for me mindset? How were you able to free them from that? Let's talk about that first.
Repetition, like
Okay.
phone calls, uh, the repetitions in the meetings, and just challenging them. Just because at first it's hard to change your mindset. We're conditioned, we're habitual creatures. But once you're around people who are doing it, you begin to realize that I'm no different than that other person. They're just doing it and I'm not. So we address that fear and we support each other, right? Hey, you can do it. You can do it. And we just stay on them. But the ultimate goal of financial freedom has been misleading. Like most people think that you need $1 million to live. Like only 1% of the population makes $400,000 a year. So 1% makes $400,000 a year or more. So that means 99% are not in that tax bracket. So you don't need $1 million to live a good life in America. You got to understand that first. And once you understand that, you can start building from that foundation and realize how close we are to it in America. We're extremely close to it in America because we're born in one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We just get in bondage through debt because that's what's marketed to us from the moment that we're born. We're marketed that we need something that's outside of yourself. You don't need anything outside of yourself. You may want it, but you may not need it. And so if you can delay your desires, you can,
Okay.
maintain that freedom.
Okay, I was going to ask about, do you talk to people within the program about, okay, now that you're on your way to making more money through these investments and trading, let's work on, say, your credit or your income to debt ratio. Um, and just, let's try to make sure that your money is staying with you than actually going out.
Right. I tell people to focus on your cash flow instead of your FICO score. And that gets extreme pushback, like
Oh my
extreme
God.
pushback. If you focus on your cash flow, you'll maintain the cash coming in and grow that cash. And eventually your FICO score is going to rise by default because you're not financing anything. I don't finance it. I live debt free.
Oh no, dude.
I have no personal debt. But I got to that point going through failures, right? I didn't just take on that lifestyle. I bought my first house at 20. I got into debt right away.
Okay.
But I learned by being around those wealth managers and financial advisors that you can make $1 million, but if you spend 10 million, you're still broke.
Okay. Like,
Yeah.
so do you feel that, and I'm not picking on social media and celebrities, but do you feel that some of them paint the wrong picture and they don't do enough to counterbalance the messages they send? They show all these houses, cars, jewelry, clothes, blah, 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 but they don't provide. And I've heard many of them say, I didn't sign up to be your mentor. I didn't sign up to be your role model. But
Yeah,
okay.
they're deflecting the personal responsibility of the message that they put out, and that's unfortunate because that's probably the marketing machine that they're in, right? I remember when I had a Audi A8. That was a V8 engine. It cost me $100 to fill that up because I had to put premium gas in that car.
Ooh.
And I lived about an hour out of the city. So I'm spending probably $200 a week in gas just on the card. Now, we're not going to talk about when the power steering hose got clogged up. That's another $3,000 just to replace it. So uh, ownership is a burden.
Wow.
All you need to do is control access to something that you want. But owning it comes with the maintenance costs, the upkeep. Did you finance it or did you buy it cash? Right. And a lot of people don't buy things cash. We finance it. So now you're paying interest on that loan that's compounding and working against you versus making your money grow every month through compound interest.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Student loan. Let's just talk about student loans. That
Yeah, we're not even going to get. So student loans is compounding if you don't have them in default, right? They're compounding against you every month. That's why
so
people never pay them off.
so let me ask you this though. I have heard some differing opinions on one, don't worry about well, don't say the word. Don't try so hard to pay off your collections versus just increasing your income. Like, and then I've seen other people say, pay off your collections as much as possible, consolidate whatever you need to do, and then your income. Like, what are your thoughts from a professional perspective? What should people focus on?
Cash flow.
Just cash flow. Okay.
Focus on your cash flow. Pay your bills, but focus on your cash flow.
Okay.
Cut back as much as you can to free up some of your cash. Once you free up that cash, you should invest that cash because now that money needs to go and work for you instead of you working for that money all the time. And that's what the market does. It allows you to leverage the market, and you don't need a lot of money to do that. Like I have people who have turned $1,000 into $30,000 in less than 60 days. Those are not typical returns, but it has happened. Um, you have to find a vehicle to offset the fact that you have interest that's compounding against you. And that's what the market, that's the potential that the market gives each of us. We just haven't educated on ourselves on how to utilize it, and we fear it and we stay away from it. But we don't fear signing up for a loan. Think about that. We fear investing, but we don't fear debt.
I mean, I'm going to put these people out there to rent to own places. They, zero down, no credit
Mm-hmm.
check.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, you look at the fine print, and I used to get caught up, in that cycle. And you look at the fine print, and it's like, for a $500 couch, you're paying $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to get to the point where I started doing research and say, okay, let me see if I can find this same set somewhere else and what would it cost. And so that God,
Yeah.
I'm no longer in bondage to the rent to own places, because it just wasn't worth it. I was
Right.
spending way more money. And I even had a friend on the inside that said, why are you buying XYZ from here? You can really buy from somewhere else a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you really need it? Do you really need it? Can you live without it for 60 days? Right? I'm not saying it's going to be absolutely comfortable, but can you go without it for 60 days?
So is that some of the conversations you have with people who feel like, okay, let's just look at people who live, I don't want to call it the hood, but the lower income areas, public
Mm-hmm.
housing, Section 8, the hood, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these people, they have a mindset, and sometimes it's generational. And it's like, this is all that I have. This is all that I ever will have. This is all I'm maybe worthy of having. I don't think it's a mindset. And so
Some people, yeah.
how do you help
From my
them?
experience, I'll say most of the people that I meet are from the hood. I always tell them it's easier to make you rich versus somebody else because your overhead is low.
Okay.
And then they'll say, how? I said, well, people in the hood don't have a problem getting money.
Yeah.
They just spend it. Right?
Yes.
So once you show them where to spend the money and how to make that money grow, now you got them. Their mindset just changed. Honestly, from my experience, it's not the people in the hood that have the hardest time making money. It's the people who have the most education, because now you got to fight that
Hmm.
generalized knowledge, and they look for credentials instead of results.
Look, I'm in grad school now, and my biggest, I don't say demon that I'm facing, is citations. And my sister
Hmm.
and I are having a conversation about, it doesn't matter if you have the knowledge. What did you get it from? So,
Hmm.
like, they just want to know that you got it from somewhere outside of yourself.
Hmm.
Okay. So, yeah.
Hmm.
Where did you get it from? Is it valid? Um,
Hmm.
who said it? Are they certified in whatever, wherever? So, yeah, I get it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the challenge. It's not the people in the hood. People in the hood, good. They gonna go get some money. You show them where to put it. Oh, they'll put the money in the market. It's the people that's educated and challenging you, but they're not really looking at the details. Most people have about $60,000 in student loan debt. Now, if you were really smart, would you be carrying those loans of debt? That's always my question. How smart are you to be carrying that debt over time? And they usually get offended by that statement, right off the rip, because I'm challenging everything you think you know. But when I was in my 20s, I learned something, or I heard something that said there's two types of knowledge. There's generalized knowledge, and then there's specialized knowledge.
Okay.
And usually most of us get generalized knowledge when we go to college. We learn the curriculum. But we don't learn about wealth and how to create it. And we don't learn how to invest, because the very nature of a capitalistic system is having a working class. So most of the time, when you go to school and you get a degree, you're training yourself to go work for somebody.
Yes. I'm looking forward to this. However, I do want some my own businesses, on the side. I just know what type of job I want, and maybe that's wrong of me to say that, but until I'm able to maybe start my own firm or some kind, I do want a particular job, but I do want some side gigs, and I don't want to call them hustles because that's not okay.
Right.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, okay, so you have the job, you're making these
Hmm.
investments, or you're getting
Hmm.
returns, starting a business in the midst of that, or on the side of that, is it smart to do that? Tell us about that.
You have to, right?
Okay.
Most 9 to 5s are access to capital,
Okay.
right? So there's only three ways to generate wealth in America. That's the real estate market, the financial markets, and having some form of your own business, entrepreneurship, right? So the first business you should start is a capital management business. And all you need to do is manage your own capital.
Okay, you gotta explain. You gotta expound on that just a little bit.
So it's exactly what it says. Capital
Okay.
management. I'm managing my capital. So if you have a job, right? If you went to school, you got educated. You smart now because you got educated. You need to be thinking like a business owner. If you have a student loan, you need to be thinking that is a business loan. And then if you think that it's a business loan, you'll create some form of business to pay that loan back, because that student loan or that business loan is going to give you access to capital if you go get a job. Now, let's just say you're making $60,000 a year. You need to be a roommate with somebody if you're single, instead of going out and buy your own house. Listen to me now. We want to
Honest.
buy our own. We want to get our own car. We want to ball out, right? You want to treat yourself. But how about growing your capital for 3 to 4 years first before you do that?
Can I just live in a 1-bedroom apartment or something? 'Cause-
I live in a 1-bedroom apartment right now downtown,
okay,
but it's a one
but
bedroom apartment.
you live in an area that's, I'm sure your 1-bedroom probably cost what a 3-bedroom in a smaller state. Um,
Right. It does.
wow.
But again, I don't purchase anything, or I don't have access to anything that doesn't generate revenue. So the space that I live in generate revenue. I have people who want to shoot commercials here, videos here in my space because of where it's located. So it generates me revenue, right? And I don't have a loan. I don't have a loan on this space, so it's not going against my net worth.
Right.
So it's working for me instead of against me. And if we can take our time and be patient enough and do that for a few years, we'll never have to worry about money.
You know, I watched a video on Instagram and it talked about, it was two guys having a conversation about building wealth. And one guy was like, well, if I can own a space, I can make the money off of renting out, leasing out that space versus every time I want to host an event, I have to go pay somebody else. So why can't I make that money as
Mm-hmm.
well? So, okay. So
Yeah,
find ways to make what you have make money for you.
absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I've gotten rid of a car. Now, if I had a car, I'll probably drive an Uber,
Okay.
or
So,
I'm not gonna buy a car unless I could rent it out.
hmm, okay. So, where you live now, do you just take public transportation?
I generate income from home, so I really never have to leave.
Okay.
And if I
That's
want to
what
go if I want to go somewhere, I call an Uber. Depending on where I go, that would determine which type of Uber I call. Again, I live in the city, so everybody's situation is different. But I live in the heart of Atlanta. I'm 5 minutes away from the park. Um, the grocery store is on the first floor. The gym is on the first floor. I literally don't have to leave my building for anything. I do it for fresh air, but I've I've designed this type of lifestyle, if you will, and it wasn't hard initially when I started it, but eventually it's revenue generating. It pays. My lifestyle pays for itself.
Okay, I need to get a notebook and start making a list and see how I can restructure my life after I sign up for one of your classes. But now
You
let's
should.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Would you
we'll have a conversation following the interview. I'll help you out.
okay. So now let's bring in the kids into this. Well, I say young people, the younger generation, the generation to come. How do we
Hmm.
bring them into this conversation? Here are the adults having all this chit chat about whatever, and the kids
Hmm.
on the sideline. How do we bring them into the conversation?
You normalize it. You make
Okay.
wealth normal for your kids. I About 3 or 4 years ago, I stopped buying my kids Christmas gifts. I told them, for every A that you make, I'll pay you $50. You can buy your own Christmas gift based off of your performance.
Okay.
So they would get A's, and I would pay them $50, and they would, make about $2 to $1,000 for Christmas. Now, once they got their grades up to the point they were making $1,000, I was like, okay, I'm not going to give you $1,000. I'm gonna give you a portion of it, and I'll put the rest of it in the stock market. So now they have
Okay.
a stock portfolio. They're still in middle school and they have money working for them instead of
So
them thinking that they need to go get a job right now.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. People are now, I'm sure by now they're thinking, how can I get my money? I've invested, I've traded, I have a little bit, looking at me. How can I get my cash?
Once you open up a broker account, I'm with E-Trade. So
Okay.
um, once you deposit or you have over $1,000 into your account, they'll send you a debit card. And all of your money that's not in a trade is sitting in your account, just like a bank account. But that account is for purchasing stocks and things of that nature. So you can purchase stocks, you can purchase index funds, you can purchase mutual funds, you can purchase any financial instrument that's available on a New York Stock Exchange through your brokerage account.
Okay.
And all of your funds that's not in a trade is sitting in your cash account, and you can just swipe your card at the POS terminal.
Now, with that though, do you warn people don't get swipe happy?
Absolutely, but that goes back to cash flow and uh, managing your capital, making sure you have a budget. You have to run your personal life like a business, but we cover all of that in the academy.
Wow.
We have accountants that come through and teach people how to look at the cost of money, and they have all these theories and stuff like that. One of my partners is a CPA, but we have accountants and CPAs that come through and share knowledge on uh, managing spreadsheets and things of that nature. So you get a little bit more than just learning how to trade. You really learn how to run your life as a business because we are in the business of life, right?
Okay. And let me ask you this off the cuff. Do you ever buy one luxury item just every
Oh,
now and
absolutely. Yes,
okay.
yes. But for
Okay.
the right reason. I'm not just gonna buy Gucci flip flops to just walk around. I'm not you know, taking a shot at anybody that do that. I'm not a flashy person, but I have some luxury stuff that I like. I'm pretty subtle, so if I have it, you probably wouldn't know it was luxury unless you
Okay.
knew that particular brand. But yeah, I love luxury.
Okay. I know me, I would have to buy premium skincare because as you age, your skin needs more stuff. So anyway, I just
Yeah.
hair, skin, beauty products, and that's probably where my money would be invested into those different entities
Hey,
as well.
teach some people how to do makeup, some makeup tutorials or something.
I have a license to do nails, and I really need to do more with that.
There you
Um,
go.
yeah. I need to invest in the stocks that, sell those products, that those products are under. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we're definitely going to have a conversation.
Nice. Looking forward to it.
All right. And so let's talk about, let me go ahead and put some information up about your business and its generation to come.
Hmm.
I should have put on my glasses. And so go ahead and tell us more how it works, how people can sign up, all that good stuff.
So, Generation to Come, like I said, we're a nonprofit organization and we focus on finance, health, and education. Um, you can sign up by um, connecting with me on Facebook, letting me know that you saw me on this interview. We are in the middle of scaling right now. So we have an entire brand coming out for the Trading Academy. We have a website called theonlywayouttour.com where you can purchase the book and connect with me there. And then soon the Trading Academy links would be on that website as well. So
So
um,
the only way out tour.
theonlywayouttour.com.
Okay. All right, so there you have it, Generation to Come Foundation Incorporated. Go to that website and look around and send. Is there a way for people to say, cut? Is there a link that says contact me or more
Yes,
information or something that?
you can contact me on that link and it'll come directly to my inbox and I'll follow up with you.
All right, so you will definitely be hearing from me. And I hope that everyone that watches this, that you don't already have a personal finance person, that you reach out to Mr. Ahmad and hopefully he can get you on track. I know. Okay, before I say, I'm always saying I know. Let me backtrack and say, let me ask someone like me who's over a certain age, is it too late to make a decent amount of money?
Never too late. I have people in my group who are in their mid 50s, 60s. I have people in my group who are semi-retired. So it's a diverse group. And like I said, there's only 1% of the people who act in the world who makes $400,000 or more.
Okay.
So I tell people you really only need an extra 20 to 30 grand, above what you're doing right now to really like feel it. And um, some people make more than that, but yes, you're not too old to make money.
Okay. Do you talk to people about, we talked about, making these luxury purchases, and some people have this attitude, I'm going to take a vacation when I need to. Well, right now we can't go anywhere, so,
Right.
but I'm going to take a vacation when I want. Some people, when I want to, if I want to go this month, 3 months, I'm going on vacation, period. Some people feel like I'm going to wait and financially plan my trip. It's not necessary going on vacation. I need to work, save, blah, blah, yada, yada. So you have these different people, these different categories. What do you say to people? And vacation is the first thing that came to mind, but
Yeah. I typically don't try to dictate how people live their lives. If it fits your budget, by all means do it. For me personally, wherever I go, again, I trade. So wherever I go, I can make money. So um, because I trade. So this year we haven't been able to travel too much, but I went to Jamaica for my birthday in January, and I've done a few getaways since then. But I log on to the market while I'm in those areas to make some money while I'm there, right? So again, my lifestyle pays for itself, but
okay,
I'm not sure if everybody's lifestyle is set up that way. But do what fits your budget,
okay.
and hopefully you're not working against yourself.
Now, what about you mentioned of how you use your space to make money for you when you go on these different trips? Do you try to turn them into a business trip so that you can get some type of revenue or write off from that?
Absolutely, everything I do is a business write-off almost. Um, but yeah, my lifestyle is a business. My life is a business. We are in the business of life, and a lot of things that I do coincides with my business.
Right.
So you have to understand that you can set your life up that way to maximize the capitalistic system that we live in and make it work for you instead of being at um, the other end of the spectrum and waiting for stuff to happen to you.
Okay. All right. So as we get ready to wrap up, any final words, tips, tricks, words of encouragement, something that you would like to leave with the listeners and viewers?
It's simple. Have some faith. I know we may have been beat up financially, or a lot of us are just looking for the answers, right? We're looking
Yeah.
for the answers. So the answers are out there. There are people who look just like you who are doing it. All you have to do is connect and plug in, become a student, and the sky's the limit.
Alrighty. And I have another video on my YouTube channel for those of you who may be wondering, okay, now you made this money, how to start a business. So check out another video about how the basics of starting a business. So grow your money first and then branch out.
Absolutely.
I, I can't thank you enough, Mr. Ahmad, for joining me and being a guest on my podcast. Thank you for everyone out there listening and watching. Don't forget to join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. Follow me on all my social media platforms and YouTube. And as always, pink sugar kisses. And thank you, Mr. Ahmad.
Thank you for having me. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you for watching the Q Spot Podcast Video Edition. Don't forget to join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. Follow, like, share, and subscribe to all of my social media platforms and the major podcast platforms. And as always, pink sugar kisses. Mwah.